Cal Newport's Deep Work: Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World is a guide to mastering focus and productivity in an era of constant distractions. The book introduces the concept of deep work, which refers to the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task, leading to improved learning, creativity, and productivity. Newport contrasts this with shallow work, which consists of non-demanding, easily replicable tasks that often dominate our time but contribute little value. Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. This type of work allows individuals to produce high-quality results in less time. In contrast, shallow work is non-cognitively demanding and often performed while distracted, such as checking emails, attending low-priority meetings, or browsing social media. The modern workplace, especially in the digital age, has increasingly favored shallow work, and as a result, deep work has become rarer and more valuable. While shallow tasks can be done without much thought, deep work requires uninterrupted focus and is often associated with peak cognitive performance. It's a skill that many professionals overlook or underutilize in today's fast-paced world. For example, an academic who spends hours engaged in reading and writing can often produce breakthroughs in their research by dedicating time to deep work, while someone who spends most of their day attending meetings and responding to messages will struggle to make similar progress. The true value of deep work lies in its ability to drive innovation, mastery, and personal satisfaction by allowing individuals to focus their cognitive energy on what truly matters. Did you know that deep work can actually rewire your brain, improving your ability to think deeply and creatively over time? Studies show that regular practice of intense focus can lead to better memory retention, faster problem solving, and increased creativity, too. Why deep work matters in today's knowledge economy. Deep work is more valuable than ever before. As information has become abundant and easy to access, the ability to synthesize information, think critically, and produce original ideas has become the true differentiator. This is particularly true in fields such as technology, academia, and creative industries where expertise and insight are key to success. The paradox, however, is that most people spend the majority of their time on shallow tasks that seem urgent but are often of little long-term value. Newport uses the example of Bill Gates, who famously took think weeks in seclusion to focus on deep work, reading and reflecting on the most pressing issues in his company. This ability to carve out time for sustained thought in the midst of an otherwise chaotic schedule was a key factor in his success. Deep work, Newport argues, is not just for a select few. Anyone who can learn the skill of focused work can achieve extraordinary results. The cognitive benefits of deep work are vast. It enhances the brain's ability to process information, strengthens memory, and promotes learning at a faster rate. When we work deeply, we activate different regions of the brain, which leads to greater mental clarity and problem-solving capabilities. For example, researchers and scientists who engage in deep work can often make significant strides in their discoveries by immersing themselves in focused thought without distractions. 3. The decline of deep work. The decline of deep work is directly tied to the rise of modern distractions and the culture of constant connectivity. Our digital world, filled with emails, social media notifications, and instant messaging, constantly pulls us away from the kind of focused work that is essential for innovation and expertise. Newport points out that the very tools that were meant to make our lives easier have become sources of constant distraction. This shift has led to what he calls attention residue, which occurs when our focus is fragmented by constant switching between tasks. After checking an email, for instance, the brain takes time to return to the original task, making it harder to regain the deep focus needed for quality work. In fact, the average office worker is interrupted every 11 minutes, and it takes roughly 23 minutes to regain focus after an interruption. This constant fragmentation of attention makes it nearly impossible to engage in deep work for extended periods, thus diminishing productivity over time. As a result, people feel busy but often fail to accomplish meaningful work. Did you know that the average person spends nearly 2 hours a day on social media alone? This time, if reallocated to deep work, could result in significant advancements in learning and productivity. The power of deep work in today's world. By focusing on deep work, you can set yourself apart from others in your field. As shallow work becomes more prevalent, those who master the art of focus will be able to produce higher quality work faster and more efficiently than their peers. This not only gives you a competitive edge but also leads to more fulfilling work experiences. The book emphasizes that deep work isn't about working harder or longer hours, rather, it's about working more strategically and with higher quality during the time that you do spend on tasks. The idea is to focus on fewer, more important tasks and give them the time and energy they deserve, instead of spreading your attention thin across multiple shallow activities. Part 2, The Rules of Deep Work. Rule 1, Work deeply. Deep work is not just a fleeting activity but a skill that requires intentional practice and cultivation. To truly master deep work, you must set up a system and environment that actively encourages this kind of focused attention. Newport provides a roadmap for how to achieve this, starting with the creation of structured routines and rituals to help you dive into periods of intense concentration. The importance of developing deep work routines. Newport argues that deep work is a skill that must be developed over time. It's not something that can be achieved on a whim or through sheer willpower. Like any skill, it requires repeated practice and, most importantly, a structured approach. One of the most effective ways to enter a state of deep work is to build rituals around it. These rituals, such as setting aside a specific block of time each day dedicated solely to deep work, help signal to your brain that it's time to focus. For instance, setting up your workspace in a specific way, free from distractions, helps create a mental cue that it's time to work deeply. Newport also suggests that you create a set of rules for how you will behave during deep work sessions. For example, a rule might be that you won't check your email or messages during the session. By eliminating these distractions, you free up your cognitive resources to focus entirely on the task at hand. Point 1 of the key elements Newport highlights is time blocking. By scheduling specific hours in the day solely for deep work and treating this time with the utmost importance, you increase your ability to enter a state of focused attention. This approach allows you to dedicate long, uninterrupted periods to work that requires deep concentration, such as writing, problem solving, or complex analysis. Overcoming distractions and resistance to deep work. In our modern world, distractions are ubiquitous. From the constant ping of email notifications to the lure of social media, distractions are often just a click away. Newport acknowledges that overcoming these distractions is one of the greatest challenges to working deeply. He recommends specific strategies to help resist the pull of shallow work. For instance, one common challenge people face when trying to engage in deep work is the laziness of the brain. This resistance is rooted in the fact that our brains are wired to seek instant gratification and avoid effortful tasks. Point 1 technique Newport recommends for overcoming this resistance is the concept of the 4-hour rule, which involves committing to at least 4 hours of focused work per day, either all at once or broken into smaller blocks. This rule helps you build a habit of deep work while also acknowledging that focusing for too long without breaks can lead to cognitive fatigue. By starting small and gradually increasing the amount of time you spend on deep work, you can train your brain to endure longer sessions of intense focus. Building a deep work environment. Creating an environment conducive to deep work is crucial to success. Newport suggests that one of the first steps in building this environment is eliminating distractions from your physical space. A cluttered desk, noisy surroundings, or easy access to entertainment options can all interrupt the flow of deep work. Newport recommends setting up a distraction-free zone where you can work without being tempted to check your phone or browse the internet. This might mean choosing a quiet room at home, using noise-canceling headphones in a shared office, or even physically distancing yourself from areas with high levels of foot traffic. The more you can create an environment that minimizes distractions, the easier it will be to focus on your tasks for extended periods. Newport also emphasizes the importance of going beyond just minimizing distractions in your physical space. Minimizing mental distractions is equally important. One way to do this is to schedule regular periods of mental downtime in which you completely disengage from work and focus on rest or leisure activities. The role of rituals and routines in sustaining deep work. To build a lasting practice of deep work, Newport suggests that you create routines that become second nature. By integrating deep work into your daily life in a structured way, you reduce the mental effort required to get started each time. For instance, you might set a specific time each day when you work deeply, such as first thing in the morning when your mind is freshest. You can also create pre-work rituals that signal to your brain that it's time to focus. This might involve turning off your phone, closing unnecessary tabs on your computer, or taking a few deep breaths before diving into a task. Rituals help eliminate the need to make decisions about how to enter deep work. Instead of spending precious mental energy on deciding when and how to start a task, you can simply follow your established routines. Over time, these routines become ingrained, making it easier to transition into deep work mode. The power of rest and downtime in supporting deep work. While deep work requires intense focus and cognitive energy, Newport also emphasizes that rest is an integral part of the process. In fact, he argues that adequate downtime is necessary for sustaining deep work over the long term. Without sufficient rest, your brain becomes fatigued, which impairs your ability to concentrate and engage in deep thought. Newport suggests that you intentionally schedule rest periods and breaks during the day to recharge your mental batteries. One of the key ways to rest effectively is by engaging in activities that allow your brain to relax and rejuvenate. This might include physical exercise, meditation, or simply taking a walk. Interestingly, Newport notes that some of the most creative and insightful moments often occur when we are not actively working. For example, many scientists and writers report having their best ideas while taking a break from their work, such as while walking outside or engaging in leisure activities. These aha moments are often the result of the brain continuing to process information in the background during periods of rest. Examples of deep work in practice. Newport uses numerous real-world examples to illustrate the power of deep work. One prominent example is Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, who retreated to a small tower in the Swiss Alps to write and think in isolation. Jung deliberately cut himself off from the distractions of modern life to focus on his intellectual pursuits. This period of solitude and deep work resulted in some of his most significant contributions to psychology. Another example Newport provides is of Bill Gates, who would retreat to his think weeks in a secluded cabin. During these weeks, Gates would engage in deep reading and reflection without the distractions of meetings or phone calls. This allowed him to think critically about the direction of Microsoft and make informed decisions that shaped the company's future. Conclusion: the importance of working deeply. Their ability to work deeply, as Newport highlights, is a rare and valuable skill. In an age where distractions are constant and shallow work is the norm, deep work allows individuals to differentiate themselves and produce exceptional results. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a researcher, or an artist, deep work is key to achieving high-level success. By following Newport's advice on time blocking, setting up the right environment, and incorporating deep work rituals into your daily routine, you can cultivate this skill and reap the many benefits it offers. Rule 2. Embrace boredom. In a world dominated by constant stimulation and instant gratification, the ability to embrace boredom is becoming a lost art. Newport argues that the modern mind has become accustomed to a continuous stream of distractions, from checking emails to scrolling through social media. These interruptions create a state of constant mental restlessness, making it difficult to engage in sustained, focused work. In order to cultivate deep work, it's necessary to train yourself to embrace periods of boredom and resist the urge to constantly seek out novelty or distraction. The problem with constant stimulation: our brains have evolved to respond to stimuli, and in today's digital age, we are surrounded by an endless array of distractions, each designed to capture our attention and keep us engaged. These distractions are like quick hits of dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. Social media, for example, offers a constant stream of new content, keeping our brains hooked and making it harder to focus on more demanding tasks. Newport highlights how these constant interruptions lead to a phenomenon he calls attention residue. When we switch between tasks, even if the switch seems insignificant, it takes time for our brain to refocus on the new task. This fragmented attention results in a reduction in cognitive performance, making it harder to engage in deep work. In essence, the digital age has led to a decrease in our ability to be bored, and this lack of boredom is a significant barrier to deep work. If we can't sit still with our own thoughts for even a few minutes without reaching for our phones or engaging in some other form of entertainment, how can we expect to concentrate on tasks that require extended periods of focus? The importance of embracing boredom. Newport argues that to achieve deep work, we must intentionally expose ourselves to boredom and train our brains to resist the pull of distractions. Embracing boredom doesn't mean mindlessly sitting around, but rather practicing the art of focusing without seeking out constant entertainment or stimulation. This concept is crucial for developing the ability to work deeply, as the ability to focus requires sustained attention. One strategy Newport suggests is practicing productive meditation. This technique involves focusing on a single problem or task during moments when you're physically engaged in another activity, such as walking or exercising. For example, if you're going for a run, instead of zoning out with music or a podcast, you focus solely on solving a work problem or reflecting on a complex concept. By engaging in productive meditation, you train your mind to focus on one thing for an extended period, which improves your ability to engage in deep work when you're in a more conducive environment. The power of being alone with your thoughts. Another key aspect of embracing boredom is the ability to be alone with your thoughts. Newport encourages people to schedule time during their day for solitary reflection or contemplation. This doesn't mean sitting idle in front of a screen, but rather giving your brain the space to think deeply without any external distractions. This practice can take many forms: sitting quietly in a room, taking a walk without your phone, or even engaging in silent activities such as journaling or meditative reflection. The goal is to allow your mind the freedom to wander and process information. In a world where we are constantly multitasking and being bombarded by stimuli, it is important to give ourselves permission to experience boredom, as this space is essential for creativity, critical thinking, and deep work. Newport also explains that this ability to embrace boredom is critical for developing the focus needed for deep work. When we allow ourselves to experience moments of boredom, we teach our brains to sit with the discomfort of not having constant stimulation. Over time, this strengthens our ability to focus and sustain deep work for longer periods of time. The role of scheduling and self-discipline. A key tactic Newport suggests for embracing boredom is to create a schedule for your day that includes periods of time specifically set aside for deep work, as well as time for relaxation. The goal here is not to fill every minute of your day with intense focus, but to ensure that you have designated blocks of time where deep work can occur. In addition, Newport recommends that you schedule periods where you actively resist distractions. For example, you might designate certain hours in the day for checking emails, but outside of that window, you make a deliberate effort to avoid engaging in digital distractions. Newport calls this productive idleness. Rather than filling every moment with activity, you choose to embrace time when you're not working, allowing your brain to recharge and refresh. This may involve leaving your phone in another room, turning off all notifications, or taking walks without listening to music or podcasts. The key takeaway is that embracing boredom requires practice. It's not something that comes naturally in our distraction-heavy world, but with discipline and intentionality, it becomes a powerful tool for cultivating focus and fostering deep work. The science behind boredom and deep work. The link between boredom and the ability to perform deep work is rooted in neuroscience. When we experience boredom, our brains shift gears and begin to focus on the task at hand. However, when we constantly seek distractions, our brains never get the chance to fully engage in focused thought. Research has shown that multitasking and constant switching between tasks can significantly reduce cognitive performance. Studies also indicate that the more often we allow ourselves to be distracted, the more difficult it becomes to concentrate on complex tasks. For example, one study found that individuals who were frequently interrupted while trying to solve problems took longer to find solutions and performed worse overall compared to those who were not interrupted. This highlights the importance of minimizing distractions and cultivating the ability to focus on a single task. Practical tips for embracing boredom. Here are a few practical strategies to help you embrace boredom and develop your ability to focus. 1. Schedule downtime. Plan specific periods of time where you are not allowed to engage with any digital distractions. Use this time to reflect, relax, or engage in activities that allow your brain to process information without constant stimulation. Point 2. Limit your use of technology, set boundaries around when and how you use technology. For example, only check email during designated time blocks and avoid social media during work hours. This helps break the cycle of constant distraction and enables you to focus more effectively during deep work sessions. Point 3. Practice focused attention. During your free time or breaks, consciously choose activities that require focus. This might include reading a book, solving a puzzle, or practicing a new skill. The goal is to build your capacity for sustained attention so that it becomes easier to focus during deep work sessions. Point 4. Be comfortable with silence. Challenge yourself to spend time in silence, whether it's during a walk or while sitting in a quiet room. This practice allows you to clear mental clutter and enhances your ability to concentrate for extended periods of time. Point 5. Engage in productive meditation. Use moments when you're physically engaged in low-stress activities, such as walking, commuting, or doing housework, to think through complex problems or ideas. This type of mental focus helps build your concentration capacity for deeper work. Conclusion: embracing boredom for deep work success. Embracing boredom is essential for developing the focus required to do deep work. In a world filled with distractions, intentionally creating space for boredom allows your mind to recharge and refocus. By training yourself to resist the pull of constant stimulation and embracing solitude, you build the cognitive discipline necessary for deep, meaningful work. Rule 3. Quit social media. In today's hyperconnected world, social media has become a ubiquitous part of daily life. From checking Facebook to scrolling through Instagram or Twitter, social media platforms offer constant streams of entertainment, news, and connection. While these platforms provide some benefits, Newport argues that they also detract significantly from our ability to focus and engage in deep work. In deep work, Newport makes the case that quitting social media, or at least radically reducing your use of it, is one of the most powerful ways to improve productivity and enhance your ability to concentrate on meaningful, high-value tasks. The problem with social media for deep work: social media is designed to capture our attention and keep us engaged for as long as possible. The algorithms behind these platforms are specifically engineered to keep us scrolling, liking, and commenting by offering content that is highly personalized and tailored to our interests. This leads to what Newport refers to as the shallow work trap. Social media may feel productive or engaging in the moment, but it offers little value in terms of achieving deep, focused work. Newport emphasizes that using social media is often a passive activity that can fragment our attention and prevent us from fully dedicating ourselves to tasks that require sustained effort and concentration. While social media can serve as a source of entertainment or news, it also diverts our cognitive energy away from more meaningful work. He also highlights the fact that social media encourages constant context switching. When we are scrolling through posts, liking pictures, or replying to messages, we are jumping from one thought or idea to another in rapid succession. This constant switching damages our ability to focus deeply on a single task for any meaningful length of time. Over time, this makes it increasingly difficult to enter a state of deep work. The deep work case for quitting social media. Newport's argument for quitting social media stems from the fact that most people use these platforms without ever questioning their utility or whether they add value to their lives. While social media can offer some benefits, Newport suggests that it is often overused, leading to unnecessary distractions. One of the key points he makes is that social media platforms are designed to be addictive, and their value is often inflated. In many cases, people could achieve the same or even greater benefits from engaging in more direct forms of communication or information consumption. The first step in quitting social media, according to Newport, is to assess the true value of the platforms you use. Are they truly essential to your life and work, or are they simply a source of distraction? He challenges readers to consider whether social media platforms actually help them achieve their most important goals. For most people, the answer is no. Newport encourages individuals to evaluate their usage by asking themselves what they are gaining from each platform and whether that gain is worth the mental and time investment. The minimalist approach to social media. Newport doesn't necessarily advocate for an all-or-nothing approach to social media. Rather, he encourages a minimalist approach where you engage with social media only when it is necessary and when it adds clear value to your life or work. This means being highly selective about the platforms you use, how often you use them, and for what purpose. For example, Newport suggests that instead of mindlessly scrolling through Twitter or Facebook, you should limit your use of these platforms to specific, predefined activities, such as keeping in touch with close friends or networking with colleagues. He also advises being intentional about your interactions with social media. If a particular platform is not contributing to your professional or personal growth, it may be best to eliminate it entirely. Point 1 approach Newport suggests is to follow the 80-20 rule for social media. This rule asserts that 80% of your social media usage likely serves no real value, while 20% of it might be useful for your personal or professional growth. By cutting out the 80% that doesn't serve you and focusing only on the 20% that adds real value, you can drastically reduce the time you spend on social media while still maintaining meaningful connections and access to important information. Practical steps for quitting or reducing social media use. 1. Take a social media sabbatical. Newport suggests one effective strategy for breaking the habit of social media usage is to take a sabbatical or break from all platforms for a period of time, such as 30 days. This allows you to gain clarity on how much time and attention you've been spending on social media and whether you experience any significant changes in your productivity or well-being. During this break, Newport advises tracking how you spend your time and energy. Are you using the freed up time for deep work or other meaningful activities? How do you feel after a few days of reduced digital engagement? Many people report feeling a sense of mental clarity and an increased capacity for focus once they stop using social media regularly. Point 2. Delete unnecessary accounts. If you find that a certain social media platform doesn't add value to your life or work, it's time to consider deleting your account altogether. Newport suggests that you should be ruthless in eliminating platforms that serve as distractions and do not align with your goals. Point 3. Set specific social media time blocks. If quitting social media entirely is not feasible, you can still apply a minimalist approach by setting specific time blocks for engaging with social media. For example, you might decide to only check social media during lunch breaks or after work hours. By restricting your use to certain times of day, you prevent social media from interfering with your deep work hours. Point 4. Use a social media dashboard or app limiter. For those who struggle with mindlessly scrolling, Newport suggests using tools that limit your time on social media. Apps like Freedom or Stay Focused can block access to distracting websites for set periods, making it easier to avoid temptation during deep work sessions. Point 5. Create a clear social media purpose. Newport also encourages readers to be clear about the specific purpose behind their social media usage. If you use LinkedIn for networking, set a goal to only check LinkedIn for professional reasons. If you follow certain people on Twitter for news updates, make sure you're only engaging with relevant content and avoid aimless scrolling. Point 6. Avoid the traps of FOMO, fear of missing out. One of the major challenges people face when quitting social media is the fear of missing out on important information or events. Newport advises that this fear is often exaggerated. Most of what happens on social media is inconsequential and doesn't require your immediate attention. Trust that you can stay informed without constantly being plugged into the digital world. The benefits of quitting social media. Newport argues that the benefits of quitting or reducing social media usage far outweigh the costs. By removing the constant distractions and unnecessary mental clutter that social media creates, you free up valuable cognitive energy to devote to tasks that truly matter. Here are some of the key benefits of reducing or quitting social media. 1. Increased focus and productivity. Without the constant pull of social media, you can dedicate more time and energy to deep work. This leads to greater productivity, as your focus will no longer be fragmented by notifications or the urge to check your feed. Point 2. Improved cognitive function. Newport suggests that social media interferes with our ability to engage in critical thinking and problem solving. By reducing your social media use, you allow your brain to regain its capacity for sustained concentration and mental clarity. Point 3. Better mental health. Many studies have shown that excessive social media usage is linked to increased levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. By reducing your exposure to the constant bombardment of information, you can experience a sense of relief and emotional well-being. Point 4. More meaningful connections. By quitting or reducing your use of social media, you may find that you can build deeper, more meaningful connections with people. Instead of relying on online interactions, you can focus on cultivating real-life relationships that provide greater value and fulfillment. Conclusion: quit social media to maximize deep work. Quitting or significantly reducing your use of social media is one of the most effective ways to reclaim your time, focus, and cognitive energy. By adopting a minimalist approach and using social media only when it adds clear value, you can eliminate distractions and make room for deeper, more meaningful work. Newport's argument is clear: social media is often a productivity killer, and quitting it can lead to profound improvements in your ability to concentrate, achieve your goals, and do your best work. Rule 4. Drain the shallows. The final rule in deep work is perhaps the most practical one: drain the shallows. While Newport has already discussed the importance of cultivating deep work and avoiding distractions like social media, Rule 4 tackles the issue of shallow work, which is often a sneaky drain on time and energy. Shallow work refers to tasks that are non-cognitively demanding and don't require deep focus, such as responding to emails, attending certain meetings, or handling administrative duties. While these tasks may seem important or urgent, they rarely contribute to achieving significant personal or professional goals. Newport's argument is that, while shallow work may seem necessary or unavoidable, it's essential to minimize and streamline it in order to maximize the time and energy you can devote to deep work. By managing shallow work effectively, you create the space needed to dive into more meaningful, complex tasks that have a lasting impact on your career and personal development. The impact of shallow work on deep work. One of the biggest challenges to achieving deep work is the constant interruption of shallow tasks. Many people find themselves bogged down by an endless list of emails, messages, and meetings, leaving them with little time or energy to engage in work that requires sustained focus. These tasks, while seemingly necessary, take up valuable cognitive resources and fragment your attention, making it harder to engage in the kind of deep, undistracted work that Newport advocates for. Newport's insight is that these shallow tasks rarely contribute to the long-term goals we care about. They are tasks that can often be automated, delegated, or simply minimized. While we may feel a sense of urgency to address these tasks, they can become distractions that keep us from achieving our most meaningful objectives. To embrace deep work, we must reduce the amount of time we spend on shallow work and find ways to streamline or eliminate it. Strategies for draining the shallows. To successfully drain the shallows and prioritize deep work, Newport provides a range of strategies that can help you cut down on unnecessary tasks, delegate or outsource work, and make sure you're using your time as effectively as possible. Point 1. Time blocking for deep work. One of the most powerful tools Newport advocates for is time blocking. Time blocking involves scheduling specific blocks of time in your calendar for deep work, where you commit to working on a single task without any interruptions. These blocks should be treated as sacred and non-negotiable, ensuring that you protect your deep work hours from shallow tasks that may come up. In addition to time blocking for deep work, Newport recommends scheduling specific periods for shallow work, such as answering emails or attending meetings. By creating a clear structure around when and how you'll address shallow tasks, you prevent them from creeping into your deep work hours and consuming all your time. The 80-20 rule for shallow work. A useful framework for minimizing shallow work is the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This principle states that 80% of the results come from 20% of the efforts. In the context of shallow work, this means that a small percentage of your shallow tasks likely produce the majority of your results, while the rest are less impactful. To drain the shallows, you need to focus only on the shallow tasks that provide the most value and eliminate or reduce the less productive ones. For example, if you're constantly answering emails, you might find that only a small percentage of them are truly important or require immediate action. By focusing on the high-priority emails and delegating or automating the rest, you can free up more time for deep work. The boring but effective strategy: saying no. Another important strategy for draining the shallows is learning to say no to tasks and requests that don't align with your deep work goals. Many people fall into the trap of overcommitting to meetings, projects, and tasks that don't contribute to their long-term objectives. By saying no to these distractions, you can protect your time and focus on what really matters. Newport emphasizes that saying no is not just about avoiding shallow work, but also about being selective about the opportunities you take on. Instead of saying yes to every meeting or request that comes your way, choose to only engage in activities that have a significant impact on your goals and priorities. By being more discerning, you free up more space for deep work. Batching shallow tasks. Batching is another technique Newport recommends for reducing the time spent on shallow work. Batching involves grouping similar tasks together and completing them in a focused, time-limited block. For example, instead of checking your email constantly throughout the day, you could batch your email checking into 2 or 3 designated times during the day. This approach minimizes the mental energy spent on context switching and allows you to focus more fully on each task. Batching is particularly effective for tasks like replying to emails, scheduling meetings, or handling administrative duties. By limiting the amount of time you spend on these tasks and completing them all at once, you can significantly reduce their impact on your day and preserve your energy for deeper work. Delegating shallow work if possible. Newport recommends delegating shallow tasks to others. In many cases, tasks that seem essential can be handled by someone else, allowing you to focus on the more complex aspects of your work. This is particularly relevant for those in leadership or managerial positions, where delegating tasks can free up significant amounts of time for strategic thinking and deep work. Delegation doesn't only apply to professional work, it can also extend to personal tasks. For example, you might delegate household chores, errands, or other time-consuming tasks to free up more time for focused, meaningful work. Automating shallow work. In today's digital age, many tasks that would have once required manual input can now be automated. Newport suggests using automation tools to streamline repetitive, shallow tasks. For example, you can use filters to automatically sort incoming emails into different folders or set up templates for responses to common inquiries. By reducing the manual effort required for these tasks, you free up more time for deep work. Social media platforms, for instance, often offer scheduling tools that allow you to plan and automate posts, saving you time and mental energy. Similarly, you can use tools like Trello or Asana to automate task tracking and project management, reducing the need for constant check-ins and manual updates. Limiting the time spent on shallow work. One of the final strategies Newport suggests for draining the shallows is simply limiting the amount of time you allocate to shallow tasks. Instead of letting these tasks fill up your day, set strict limits on how much time you will spend on them. For example, you might decide to only spend 30 minutes a day answering emails or schedule just 2 30-minute meetings per week. By capping the amount of time you spend on shallow tasks, you ensure that you have more space for deep work. This strategy forces you to prioritize tasks and become more efficient in your decision-making, eliminating time-wasting activities that do not contribute to your main goals. The benefits of draining the shallows. The benefits of draining the shallows and focusing on deep work are profound. By managing your time and energy more effectively, you create the space needed to accomplish meaningful, high-impact tasks. Some of the key benefits of draining the shallows include: 1. More time for deep work. By reducing or eliminating shallow tasks, you free up time and mental energy to devote to deep, focused work. This allows you to make significant progress on high-priority projects and achieve your long-term goals. 2. Increased productivity. With fewer distractions and interruptions, you can work more efficiently, completing tasks in less time and with greater focus. Time blocking, batching, and delegating all contribute to a more streamlined workday, making you more productive overall. 3. Higher job satisfaction. Engaging in deep work allows you to experience a sense of flow and satisfaction as you accomplish tasks that require concentration and skill. When you spend less time on shallow work and more on meaningful tasks, you are likely to feel a greater sense of fulfillment in your work. 4. Improved work-life balance. By managing shallow work more effectively, you can create a healthier work-life balance. This might mean spending less time on administrative tasks and more time with family, friends, or on hobbies that contribute to your personal well-being. Conclusion: draining the shallows for a life of deep work. Draining the shallows is an essential part of building a life centered around deep work. By minimizing or eliminating shallow tasks and creating more time for focus, you can maximize your productivity, improve your cognitive performance, and achieve your most meaningful goals. Newport's strategies for draining the shallows, time blocking, batching, delegating, and saying no, offer practical, actionable steps to reclaim your time and energy from shallow work and invest it in activities that matter.